welcome. Game development is hard.
One reason game development
Did you know
is so
making a
damn
complete
hard.
video
The
game
past 2 months
entirely
I've
by
been
yourself
learning
is one of the
FPS
hardest things you could ever possibly do?
I just want to make new game development really real.
Tired of the delays.
Or is it just a dream? Only
I could do that in a day. Look, everybody's always like, me, game dev is so hard, it takes so long, but I think they're wrong. And I'm gonna prove it. I'm gonna make a game a day for a week as a complete beginner. Shouldn't be that hard. So for the first game, I decided to keep it simple, and I made a DDR-like game, but you play with arrow keys. So I started by making all the little arrows, and they moved according to their color. Then I threw together this quick arrow controller script. I made the arrow spawner, and whoops, that's not right. Okay, I fixed it, and now the game is actually playable. I had about 2 hours left, so I added some finishing touches, and here's what it looks like. I added this high score tracker and these like little gray outline arrows so you actually know where they're gonna appear. And then I added these like weird particle effects on the side that, okay, they look kind of weird, but like, I don't know, it makes the game look sort of better. Anyways, that's the game done. For the second game, I made a top-down shooter, so I made this little circle and I got him moving around. I got this little shooting mechanic working, which took way longer than I thought it would to make, because fuck Quaternions. If you know, you know. Now, if you were paying any attention to the last game, you would know that it looks complete dog shit. But we're gonna fix that this game with the power of post-processing. I added some simple enemies that follow the player and die one shot, and then I threw together this quick map. I also added an enemy spawner, a scoreboard, and some nice particle effects when enemies die. But we got a problem. There's no sound. So I got to work programming a sound system, and I used this cool website, Chiptone, which automatically generates like 8-bit sounds, and I tried adding them to my game, but I couldn't figure out for the life of me why I couldn't hear the sound effects in-game. I asked ChatGPT and none of its fixes worked until I realized there's this little speaker icon at the top which I accidentally toggled that muted the game. But at least the game works now. It also keeps track of your high score, and I added this little power-up that spawns randomly around the map to incentivize the player to move around more. You know, for my second game, it's honestly pretty fun. I mean, it's a little bit easy, but it's not bad, it's not bad. Now, as any new game developer knows, you gotta remake Flappy Bird. So that's what I'm gonna do. But I'm gonna be a little bit different. Instead of flying through the pipes, you're gonna jump. I know, original idea here. Okay, we make new project, then boom, square. Square go jump.
yes.
Then pipe. Oh, shit. Okay, I fixed the pipes. But I kind of forgot to record a bunch of stuff, so I added some finishing touches, and voila. We got colors, we got a scoreboard, and I added this jump bar so you actually know how long you've been holding space. Now, after doing some playtesting, I realized the game's kinda easy, so I thought I might spice it up a little bit. Yeah, now we have Shooty Jumpy Bird for some reason. So yeah, I added the shooting and enemy mechanics from the last game. They make absolutely no sense in a game like this, but yeah, I guess. Okay, well, game's done, moving on. Now, I just got back from work and it's currently around 2:30, but I have a friend's birthday party at 4, meaning I gotta make this game in like an hour. So I was trying to think of the simplest game I could make, and then it hit me. Aim trainers. It's honestly really funny how games like Kovacs and Aim Labs make all this money when fundamentally an aim trainer is just a camera controller and some balls spawning. Like, I know they have some other features like a leaderboard and like a bunch of custom game modes and whatnot, but fundamentally aim trainers are like super easy to make. Like, I literally just made this game in an hour and like it's done, it's playable. For this game, I had the idea where the player jumps between falling rocks, and if you miss,
You die in burning lava.
so, as always,
Square.
Then I got the player to jump by clicking and then dragging the mouse in the direction you want to jump. I forgot to record the mouse though, so you're just going to have to kind of trust me that I did that. Now, something that's kind of important to the gameplay is for the player to be able to bounce off the rocks and walls, which I thought would be easy to program, but let me walk you through the absolute nightmare I had trying to get the player to bounce properly. First, I gave the player a physics material that made them bounce and used a raycast under their feet to check if the ground was there, and if so, freeze their precision. But then that led to this weird bouncy thing because the player would stop, then gravity would push them down, and it would keep repeating, so I ditched that, and instead, I tried to edit the physics material directly in the script, which looked like it worked, but didn't actually do anything in the game. So I scrapped all that, made a new game object with a box collider slightly wider than the player, and when it collided with the wall, it saved the player's velocity, and when the player itself collided with the wall, I simply gave it the saved velocity with the reversed X direction. And that finally works. Most of the time. Anyways, after that, I coded up a rock spawner, I added the lava, and bam! Here's the game done. It's honestly kind of difficult because I didn't add any kind of indicator of where the player's about to be sent. You just kind of have to remember where you dragged your mouse. But I think the game could actually be kind of fun if I spent more time developing the levels and made like little obstacles on the rocks or like enemies and just added some kind of polish to the game. But, you know, I only had a day to do this, so moving on. For day 6, we're making circle. I got the player moving and dashing around with this absolutely terrible looking particle effect, okay, don't judge me. Then I made these two enemies, but you can't shoot them. You gotta get them to touch each other, and then boom. So I made this explosion effect, which might just be my greatest accomplishment ever. I put it in the game, and...
Nice.
Then I made these lasers, which randomly spawn and try to kill the player. Now, to make the game difficult, I had the idea where every 10 seconds, the speed of the game would increase by 10%. So I slapped some code in there, and bam. It starts at 0.8x speed and continues to increase the longer the game goes on. I gotta say, I'm pretty happy with how this game turned out. Sometimes impossible situations arise where the player really has no escape, which is bad game design, but I would say that it's definitely my favorite game I've made so far. For the final game, I'm gonna go all out. I'm making a PvE zombie shooter, but there's just one problem. I don't know how to make 3D models. So I found this low poly city map, but for some reason all the lights had maximum intensity, so enjoy this time lapse of me clicking every single one and lowering the brightness. Then I found this really cool gun model and I slapped it on the player. And now it's time to code. Okay, everything seems to be working perfectly. Oh no. Now, if you guys want to know how to code guns for your games, I'm going to teach you a little trick here. Basically, as a cold-blooded American, you're just going to take your household Glock and you're just going to that's all you got to do, you're done. Then I made this bullet impact particle effect, which looks terrible. Okay, I'm not a professional Unity's particle system maker, unlike some people. That explosion effect from the last game might have been my peak. I found this cool zombie model online and I made these 3 different enemies. The bigger they are, the more health they have, but also the slower they are. I set up an enemy spawner and that was pretty much the game. I didn't have time to add anything else because figuring all this stuff out for the first time took quite a while. There's no secondary objective other than just try and survive as long as you possibly can. The game is definitely not fun, but I learned a lot while doing it, and that is why we're here. I did it! Woo! I proved them all wrong. Game dev is easy and can be done in only a day. No, obviously not. The games I made this week were terrible, but I do think good games can be made in a short amount of time. Just look at game jams. People have made some really fun and interesting games in only a couple days. But, of course, fully polished and fleshed out games do often take quite a while to finish. This is my first YouTube video, and it's my dream to be an indie game developer, so I'm going to keep updating my progress with these silly videos. If you liked what you saw, I'd really appreciate you subscribing to follow along in my journey. Goodbye, and I really hope to see you in the next one.